Guys, today we are going to learn about functions in Python. The first obvious question is, what is a function? Think of it as a magical tool that helps you write reusable code in one place. This helps us reduce the size of your program, and also maintenance is pretty easy. Before we jump into the code, imagine you are given a task to chop vegetables. So every time before every meal, you won't go and chop the vegetables, right? So you're going to chop it and keep it and then reuse it every time. So that is how a function is. So now let's look at the syntax of the function in Python. It is a block in Python which starts with keyword def and whatever the name of the function is, and it should be snake case. So like let's say we call it as greet user. Okay, so this is the function name, so it is separated by underscore over here, and all the letters are small case, and it should be open close bracket is to whatever you want to write in the function. Let's say we want to write, or we want to wish the user hello Shubham. So for that we need, of course, the dynamic name Shubham that we will take from the user by using input, and we will pass it to this function, and then we will print it over here. So for that, first of all, we need to receive a parameter in this function. To receive a parameter, it is as simple as this. We will say name over here, and then we will go down and write print. I'll use f string, and let's say hello name over here. And now you will ask me how to call the function. It is very easy. All we have to do is greet user, just like that, and open close bracket. In this, since name is required, so let's say I will pass it as, let's pass it as sj. Save this python 3, and it is functions.py, and as you can see, it says hello sj. Now we want to take this from the user, right? So let's say name over here, and we will take input what is your name. Whatever the user enters, we will pass it to this function, and it will print over here. So let's do this again. I'll say Shubham this time, and as you can see, it says hello Shubham. So this is how easy it is to create a function in Python. So what are some of the benefits of Python function? I call it as ROM. So reusability, we will be able to use this function or whatever code block we have written in this anywhere in the program just by calling this function. Okay, then comes organization. So it helps us organize certain block of code or similar block of code in a function separately in the entire program. We won't have to find it and like go and search it manually. So that was our organizability. Then comes maintainability. It is pretty easy to maintain a function just because it is separately written somewhere else. So it is pretty easy to maintain. And then modularity. It helps us modularize the code. Let's say we have a code of 1000 lines, and in that will be very difficult to maintain when it comes for maintenance. But let's say you take that 1000 lines of code, you break it down into say 50 lines of function, and then call those function in a main function. That will be pretty easy to maintain. Now we know the basics of functions in Python. Let's use the function to create a program that helps us calculate the area. So for area calculation, right, we need two things. First of all, width and length, right? So we will call the function as area and open close bracket, and we want to receive two parameters over here, right? I will call it as length and width. And then of course we need to return something from here, so I'm going to use the return keyword, and it will be length into width, or you can assign it as area over here and then return the area. Return area, it is one and the same thing. If you ask me, in the older function, right, we did not specify any return, but Python by default returns none when nothing explicitly is mentioned. Okay, so over here we are returning the area. Now in order to call this function, all we have to do is area, and what should we get over here? Pass over here. Let's say 4, 13, 12. Now this will be our area because we are returning something from here. That's why we are taking it in a variable. So instead of this, we could have done is directly put the print statement and use f string over here. Let's say area is, open close brackets and close this, and rerun the program. So python 3 functions.py. and as you can see area is 48. Now let's say we wanted to pass this as dynamic, whatever the user enters. So for that we will take in the input. I'll call it as length. Let's say len. No, actually let's say length itself. Input from the user, enter the length. Then let's ask for width. Input again, and we will say enter the width. Take these two and pass it over here. Now let's run the program again. Enter the length, I will say 2 and 3. Here there was one problem. Here whatever we enter from the user or whatever we take input from the user is of type string. So it cannot be multiplied. That's why we get this error called as can't multiply sequence by non-int of type str. Okay. So we can either convert it into string or we can convert it into float. Since we know that areas or length and width can be into decimal points. So let's convert it into float. So float. And float here as well. Save this and rerun. Let's say 2 and again 3, and as you can see area we get is 6.0, and that is correct. So we were successfully able to calculate the area in Python by using functions. There is so much more to this function than just this, and it cannot be covered in one video. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out anything, and you will become ultimate programmer by subscribing to our channel. And I'll see you in the next one.